What's going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review JJ Demon's 2012 project Limbo. Now this is basically an EP, and this is the last burst of like the early JJ Demon from like the Funeral Disco days. Now I haven't listened to his later projects, so I don't know for certain, but JJ Demon kind of came off as more of like an emo kind of scene rapper in a lot of ways, very similar to Broken Side and in some cases Blood on the Dance Floor and that type of stuff. But I wanted to see what was up with this just because Funeral Disco, I like the styles of it, but I kind of gave that album a bad score back in the day or last summer, and I did kind of have some of the enjoyableness. I found some enjoyment in the Live Backwards mixtape from 2011. So I had some good EDM and kind of crazy electronic club type hits in there. But this is a pretty polished project. I definitely kind of feel like I could almost see, like with this particular project, JJ Demon kind of being more in the Viner and kind of Blogspot kind of posts, like kind of similar to like folks like Odd Future and Casey Veggies and Earl Sweatshirt and some of those type folks and Childish Gambino, those type folks. There's like a song on here that kind of has that sort of vibe towards it. It's kind of giving off those Blogspot days, but it's kind of interesting just because JJ Demon kind of went with the times, but he doesn't really have like the electronic and kind of EDM type stuff that he had on Live Backwards. And he also doesn't have like a crazy kind of ferocious bite of a song like, well, it's not to say that he doesn't, because I think this is probably the JJ Demon project I prefer, but then I kind of like Live Backwards too, so I'm kind of on the fence about what to say about it. I need to go and re-listen to Funeral Disco again because I think I was kind of wet behind the ears when I tried that one. But this is pretty enjoyable, and it kind of recarves out my taste for JJ Demon in a lot of ways. I don't necessarily know what the single is just because there's not really a Wikipedia page about him still, and that's kind of the concept I kind of feel like. I don't know what songs he put out as music videos, but there is a I Killed Hip Hop 2 on here that has a really ferocious and kind of like dark and kind of ambient kind of juggalo like almost beat on there. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you the 4 songs out of 6 that I recommend. So the 4 songs I recommend to you out of 6 off this EP would be Current News, IDK, I Killed Hip Hop 2, and Limbo, the title track. So like I was saying, I Killed Hip Hop 2 is a good sequel to the first I Killed Hip Hop. Like the first one, I admitted to not liking that one as much, but this one I kind of do like. It really has like a pretty stellar verse about JJ Demon proving why he's more of kind of a lucrative rapper and a more enjoyable rapper than some of the generic ones out there. He does a pretty good job, has a nice haunting beat on there, really helps perk it up and has some of that. It's good to kind of get a sequel to that, and just the fact that he's doing sequels showcases the fact that it was a good song. So that's a pretty nice one. Limbo is kind of a party song. I kind of felt like this is kind of a medium-sized party song. Really has like a nice ghoulish, yeah, Limbo kind of felt to me like a nice medium-sized party song, real kind of spooky and kind of floaty, and just with those kind of distant bells and that kind of stuff. It really was a nice one. And it's kind of just about, I mean, it has like a mild connotation and a mild caricature about talking about some folks that are trying to be about that life, but just aren't in that kind of context. And I kind of feel like I like that JJ Demon kind of included himself in there and kind of showcased some of the stuff that he was up to. This kind of making it like a mild party song, kind of like vomiting in the car and that type stuff. That type of stuff. I mean, it's not to say that that's encouraged, but it's the concept of, you know, cutting loose a little bit. I feel like JJ Demon kind of cut loose more on this project than he did on Funeral Disco, and I like that he did try to do that because this is kind of like a mild party song, but it just kind of has its awareness up, and I think that's kind of the thing where it's not a party song where you're gonna, you know, it's kind of tries to get across to you to be wary about like the Nate the like the police forces and those type things, as far as not trying to party too hard and just having a little bit more of like carefulness about yourself and being more mindful. And I do like that kind of concept because it seems like JJ Demon, despite his party lifestyle, probably keeps a clear head and is alert. So that's kind of the concept there. And IDK is like a nice kind of mild party song also. This one's kind of a mid-sized party song, and I liked it just because the simplistic kind of Pro Tools kind of beat on here felt like really like, you know, Pro Tools kind of like, and felt very kind of Pro Tools like and Garage Band like, I just would have to say. But I liked it. It was just a song about like being in a band and telling your girlfriend to come to your show and come and see you, and this the drama that goes along with that, the kind of bickering that goes along if you're kind of like an indie band or like a medium-sized small time band that just wants your girl to show up, and just the arguments that go along with that. So that one is kind of, it's a nice one. I do see it as like a nice mid party song, pretty decent, kind of like Limbo. These are just kind of middle of the road kind of party songs. JJ Demon doesn't get as crazy as he did on Live Backwards, but does have some good stuff on here. Then another one that's really good is Current News, which this is kind of like the blog spot kind of Casey Veggies and Childish Gambino type song that I was talking about. Really is a nice ladies song. I like how they say "wet your finger first." That's pretty nice. Or "lick your finger first," and that's real kind of smooth cut. JJ Demon did nice on there, despite that he kind of sounded pretty boom bap ish. But I don't even care about that this time. It's just a good song, good feeling. This Greasy Jenkins dude does some really good hooks on here, so I like that. He's on here a few times. That's kind of the concept. Some of the songs I didn't like were the first two songs you hear on here, Windows and Wild America, which these are just more kind of caricature songs and kind of this kind of political kind of imagery as far as saying the bad times and people trying too hard and just the tabloids that kind of go along with things in America and just doing things for social media and that type of stuff. And then Windows was kind of just like another kind of just peering through like a lens as far as seeing some of that stuff. I mean, I do like JJ Demon at least having his awareness up, but I would like it to kind of be, I don't know. I didn't quite connect with it as much just because I mean JJ Demon is a competent lyricist, so it just kind of gets it to where it's kind of, or you have to kind of provide these lyrics on songs to where they're interesting as well. I feel like he did that really well in Limbo, but Wild America was just more of kind of like an eat your vegetables kind of song more so than like the context of like Limbo was in IDK. I mean, all of them kind of have, minus like Current News, they all kind of have like some sort of connotation about like kind of a parody of like what rap kind of is about and some of the mindsets and mentalities that kind of go along with it. But JJ Demon's pretty good at it. He's not too sarcastic with it like he was on Funeral Disco, but I do feel like sometimes it gets a mild case of preachy, but at least it's more enjoyable this time around, where it's not quite as bad, and he's just showcasing that he has some pretty like rave lyricism. That's kind of the concept, so it's just more enjoyable. It's not quite as like much of a, you know, like a food pill that you have to take this time around. So it's just kind of that sort of concept. So I'm gonna give this project me liking 4 out of 6. I'm gonna go ahead and give this project like a 7 out of 10. I really feel like it was that good. It's too bad that I couldn't figure out the single. Maybe there is one. I'm not really sure. This album is not on Spotify, and it's, I don't know how available it is to purchase. JJ Demon's really difficult. Like just like a couple hours ago, I was trying to purchase like Funeral Disco on CD, and that was going to cost me $230 to do. So that's just, you know, that's kind of the concept behind JJ Demon because of how low key he is. But that's kind of the context there. So, what was I gonna say? Like, so 7 out of 10 is pretty solid. I do appreciate that. It's just a good project. Has some, it's pretty well balanced. Has some spooky and kind of glaring beats that just really kind of showcase things and do it in the right sense. And he's just a little bit more jovial this time too. He kind of loosens up a bit and is not quite as starch as like it seems like he was in the past. So I do appreciate that. But once again, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to Funeral Disco and see if my mind has changed on that. And the social score I will give like a 6.5 because I don't know if there were singles or what happened if there were music videos for it. I'm not really sure, but just from what I heard, 2/3 of the project really has those. I picked the ones that kind of have like a more outlifting kind of thing. I think Limbo is the best bet. Limbo and I Killed Hip Hop 2 are the best bets for like the most kind of going out weekend kind of cuts, but it's just very short lived because it's just an EP. And then Current News is your ladies bop if you're just surfing the internet trying to find women, that type stuff. So that's kind of the thing there. So in terms of the future, JJ Demon has come back. He put out an album in 2017 and a couple albums since then. There's one in 2020, possibly in 2021. So he's kind of back in the swing of things. I'm gonna have to really see if it compares to like the early JJ Demon because there is some definite kind of alternative rap songs I really enjoy from the JJ Demon early years. I'm just gonna have to see how this winds up building up as we get along with that. But for now, this is pretty damn solid for JJ Demon here.